Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast and happy April. If you're not lucky enough to live in an area of the world where you can play golf year round, I certainly hope that it's getting to be the time of the year where you can get back out on the golf course. It's hard for me to imagine what the anticipation would feel like after a long winter, but I hope if you haven't gotten out to play yet this year, the weather's clearing, things are warming up, the grass is greening, and you'll be out there soon. This week on the podcast, I'm going to do a review of the Shot Scope H50 handheld GPS device. Going to talk about my weekend rounds of golf, and then wrap up the month of March. 3 months into the year, the quest to break 80 continues. But let's start. Let's start with the Shot Scope. And I've talked about this. I think I talked about it over the last 2 podcasts. The idea that in order to break 80, I've got to hit greens more consistently. And the thought crossed my mind that while I have, for my whole the whole few years of my golfing career, been using a rangefinder, that maybe there would be benefit in having a GPS device that doesn't just give me the distance to the flag, but also gives me the distance to the front of the green, the back of the green, gives me distances to hazards, and just provides more information for me to make good, solid decisions on the golf course. So ordered the Shot Scope, paid, I think it was exactly $200. It is, like I said, a handheld GPS device, about the size of a rangefinder, color screen. I was a little surprised when I opened it up at how heavy it was, quite a bit heavier than a rangefinder, but I think some of that's battery, and I think a lot of it is magnet. So I wouldn't ding it for being heavy because the magnet worked. It was one of my concerns when I felt the weight, is that I really hope the magnet's strong enough to hold it to the golf cart, and that was not a problem. It didn't budge, which was a great thing. And as I get into my weekend rounds of golf and my March recap, I'll talk a little bit about how it performed on the course. And this is an early review. That there's a lot that the Shot Scope can do that I did not get an opportunity to use yet while on the course. So for example, has a built-in scorecard. I didn't use that. It does do shot tracking. So each time you hit a shot, it knows where you hit that shot from and where you hit it to. You can start to get detailed data on how far you hit a 5-iron or how far you hit your driver. I just didn't use that functionality on the course. Basically, I was just looking for something to give me distances, specifically on the greens, front of the green, back of the green. So it arrived a week ago, Sunday. Charged the device. It took maybe another 15 or 20 minutes to download the most recent version of the software and was ready to go. Took it out, used it on the course for the first time on Saturday, and it took a little getting used to. Put it on the bar that goes from the body of the golf cart to the roof of the golf cart. So I had the Shot Scope stuck to that with a magnet, and also had my rangefinder stuck to that with a magnet. And just my initial thoughts: color screen, big numbers. This may not be a you problem, but this is a me problem. I am very much farsighted, meaning I can see fine at distance, but up close is a problem. I wear reading glasses. If I forget to bring my reading glasses to a restaurant, I've got to give the receipt to one of my kids or whoever I'm with and say, what does that say? Because I can't see it at all. So I don't wear glasses out on the golf course because, again, I can see well at a distance. I see the golf ball, and was hopeful. I've tried some apps on my phone, and they've been too small for me to see without my glasses. This was not. Nice big numbers that show me distance to the front of the green, distance to the middle of the green, distance to the back of the green. And like I said, I'll get a little more into it as I talk about my rounds of golf. I thought the information that it provided was valuable. And I saw my shots into the greens differently than I had seen them before. Normally, like I said, hit my drive, get out the rangefinder, shoot the pin, and say, okay, I'm 150 yards to the pin or 120 yards to the pin or 180 yards to the pin, whatever that may be. And that's normally the number that I'm working off of when I pull a club out of the bag to make that shot. But this really did open my eyes to shooting the flag and seeing that the flag was, let's say the flag was 120 yards away, but the front of the green was 105 and the back of the green was 135. And I think it just made me feel like there's a much bigger window there that I can hit than what I'm normally used to going after, that I don't have to be perfect. And I can really consider, based on knowing the greens and where the flag is, what would I like to leave if I'm going to miss? Do I want to leave an uphill putt? Do I want to leave a downhill putt? And making a club selection when I know I've got between 105 and 135 yards is different. At least it was for me. It was a different thought process than shooting the flag and saying, okay, I've got to hit this 119 yards. And over time, I think that may be valuable. Problem is, you still have to hit the shot. That's with all these things, right? We could spend money on training aids and devices and buy a new driver every other week and new wedges and clubs. At the end of the day, you have to hit golf shots. This is not going to help me to hit golf shots. I've got to hit good golf shots, but I think if I am, the information that this provides will be helpful. And there are a million devices that provide similar information. And there's free apps, there's things that you can use on your phone. You don't need to go out and spend money on a device like this. But wanted to give it a shot. Like I said, I think the information that it provided was good. I liked the screen size. And I found that, so Steve, who was in the car with me quite a few times, he was looking at it and he was saying, all right, what's it say? Because he's the same thing. He plays with a rangefinder, but he was looking at the device to see front of the green, back of the green. And I think that's a positive. So, like I said, limited review this week because I did not use all the functionalities. But after a weekend with it, the pros, let's say color screen, easy to read, even in the bright sunlight, beyond being easy to read, easy to see. The numbers are big enough that I can read it without wearing reading glasses. And like I said, while it was heavy, the magnet was strong, no issue with it staying on the cart, even if you hit a couple of bumps driving along the golf course. Cons, I was a little surprised when I opened it up that there was no case. So again, it's a $200 electronic device. I feel like they could find a way to put a case with this thing. And maybe if they do, it makes it a $220 device. I'm sure there's an issue there with price point. What I did was I had an old case from a rangefinder that no longer worked. So threw the rangefinder out, put the shot scope in that case. And again, that'll give you a feel for size because it fit pretty perfectly in the rangefinder case. But I think it would have been nice to get a case with the shot scope. And then the other con says on the box as I'm looking at it that you should be able to get in 3+ rounds of golf. I played Saturday, normal round of golf. I think it was a little under 4 hours. I didn't do anything crazy with the device. I didn't even put in the score. Every time we finish a hole, I'd skip to the next hole, and I just wanted to see distances. I assumed, based on what it said on the box, I'd be able to get a few rounds out of it. When we went out to the golf course again on Sunday and I turned it on, it said it only had 28% battery life left. That made me nervous. Now, I used it Sunday. I used it for the whole round on Sunday. It did not die on me on Sunday. So I did get in 2 full rounds, but charged it immediately after the second round. So it does not appear to me that the battery life is what was promised. But that's it. That's the quick review on the Shot Scope H50. If I missed anything, if you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email. Be happy to answer them. But that takes me to the weekend rounds of golf. So, like I said, played Saturday and Sunday. Saturday played with Jason, Al, and Steve. We were all supposed to play together again on Sunday, but on Sunday we woke up to quite a bit of rain, and Al decided to cancel, didn't think we were going to be able to get the round of golf in, but we did. So let's start with Saturday's round. And the prior weekend, I had gone out and shot back-to-back 89s, which I felt was kind of unusual. Saturday, 46 on the front, 43 on the back. Sunday, reversed that, 43 on the front, 46 on the back, but back-to-back 89s. I go out Saturday of this week, and guess what? 46 on the front, 43 on the back for my third round of 89 in a row. I really struggled on Saturday, and this has been a problem with the irons and approach shots. I'm hitting everything thin and toey, and I've said it before. I feel like a broken record, but what used to be the strength of my golf game, I can't find it. I just can't find the iron swing. Again, hitting a lot of stuff thin, not getting even wedges, just not getting them up in the air. And something that it's been really frustrating because I am hitting driver well. So only hit 3 greens in regulation on Saturday, 30 putts for, again, 89, made 1 birdie on 16, which continues to be my favorite hole on the course, and moved on to Sunday. Now, like I said, Sunday, woke up to some heavy rain, but felt like we could probably, there would be a window to get the round in, and we teed off a little late. Things were backed up, waiting for the rain to pass. Said Al canceled, so it was just myself, Jason, and Steve. We did get the full round in. There were a couple of little showers that passed through as we played, but it rained hard for 17, and I think the drive on 18, we all got pretty wet there for a bit. And then things dried up as we finished the 18th hole. And I swore that on Sunday, there was just no way I was going to go out and shoot another round of 89. And at least I broke the trend that I had seen for the past few weeks, which was the front was either a 46 or a 43, and went out and shot 44 on the front, duplicated that, shot 44 on the back for an 88. I hit irons better on Sunday. Felt like I started to find it again a little bit. That helped in terms of greens in regulation. I hit 6 greens in regulation on Sunday. But what got me on Sunday was the putter. So Saturday, I had 30 total putts. Sunday, I had 36 total putts, which is really not a great effort. And there's sometimes, I think the week before, I had said I felt like I was hitting pretty good putts, but they just weren't falling. I was lipping a lot of things out. That was not the case on Sunday. On Sunday, I hit some putts that missed by, I couldn't figure out speed or direction. And that's with lining the ball up. I hit some really, really bad putts on Sunday. And early on, I understood it a little bit because after the heavy rain, we really expected the greens to be a little slower. But I've got to say, Oriole drains really well. And the greens, even after heavy rain, continued to be lightning fast. But all day, speed escaped me. And for good portions of the day, direction escaped me. So 36 putts on Sunday. Not a great effort. One of my worst putting performances of the month, well above average. I enjoyed using the shot scope and quite often still shot the flag, but again, it was just good information. Shoot the flag, see what that number was, then think about, okay, what's the distance to the front? What's the distance to the back? Now, instead of thinking about, again, I've got to hit it a specific yardage, it's more like this is the window. I've got a 30-yard front to back window that I've got to put this ball into. Let's see if I can do that. And like I said, I talked about this a few podcasts ago that my goal, I felt like if I was going to get to where I needed to be, was minimally I had to be hitting 6 greens in regulation each round. And 3 out of the past 4 rounds, I accomplished that and hit 6 greens in regulation. So that's good. For the month, and let me back up a little bit. I've talked about before, and as I sit here and I'm talking and doing this podcast, I'm looking at an Excel spreadsheet. And the more I do this, the more value I find in tracking how you're doing so that you can see progress or regress, I guess, if it goes that way. But I really do think that seeing the numbers helps, because each round in and of itself, you walk off the course feeling, you feel something, disappointed, frustrated, happy, excited, hopeful. And I think it's good to get past some of that emotion and really take a look at your game and say, okay, here's where I am. And I am making progress or not making progress. And if I'm not, here's the things that I need to work on. So to recap the month of March, I played 8 rounds of golf and shot an average score of 88. And it's probably, I don't even think probably, it is definitely the most consistent golf I've ever played. So over those 8 rounds of golf, my high score was a 90. My low score was an 84. So 6 strokes from top to bottom. Now, I'd rather that be my low score was 78 and my high score was 84, but it's not. I really played in a tight window in the month of March. So comparatively, in February, when I averaged 93 and a half strokes around, my low score was an 87 and my high score was 105. So that's an 18 stroke difference. Same thing in January. In January, I averaged 93.6 strokes per round. My low score was an 87 and my high score was 101. So big swings in January and February. March, I played much more consistent golf. And I think I just did a better job of fighting my way around the golf course, because not everything's working, and it's certainly not working every round, but tried to hang in there and really fight for those bogeys and keep the doubles and the triples off the scorecard. So a few more numbers. So like I said, January, I averaged 93.6 strokes per round, February, 93 and a half, March, 88. And from a greens and regulation standpoint, I averaged 3.2 greens in regulation per round in January, 3.7 in February, and 4.25 in March. So again, progress. And on the putting side, I averaged 32 and a half putts per round in January, 33.1 in February, and 31.88 in March. Again, progress. It's not where I want to be. I want to be putting up rounds in the low 80s consistently and flirting and finding my way into the 70s, but the ball striking just hasn't been good enough. I mean, that's the reality, and I continue to work at it and will continue to fight to get there, but I'm just not hitting the ball well enough. So the other thing I did was I went through and graded myself, and this varies a little bit round around, but I guess maybe this is kind of how I feel about my game coming out of the month of March. So with a driver in my hand, I gave myself a C plus. And I think that's fair. I'm hitting the driver much better than I had earlier in the year. Not perfect, but the distance has been better. The direction has been better. I'm putting myself in a position to hit more greens in regulation. It's not perfect. There's still room to grow there, but better month of the driver, so C plus with the driver in my hand. Approach shots, a C. Now I've said it's been frustrating. What had been the strength of my game, I think when I'm hitting irons really well, that would be a B plus. So a C is a step back from where I think I should be. Again, I found it a little bit on Sunday, but it's going to take a few more rounds for me to believe that my irons are back. Short game continues to be the place where I struggle the most. A short game, I gave myself a D. And greenside bunkers, I played better. But inside of 100 yards, I truly struggle. I do not know when I've got less than a full club in how to get there. Really, more and more, I'm putting. If I'm within 10 yards and the terrain is fairly smooth, I'm going Texas wedge and I'm putting because I have no confidence in my ability to hit a wedge. I continue to work at it, but I'm still losing strokes in the short game, which brings me to putting, which I gave myself a C minus for the month of March in putting and had a couple of world-class rounds with 26 and 28 putts over 18 holes of golf. We also had some really bad rounds with 36 and 37 putts over 18 holes of golf, and then some middle of the road. So like everything else, and I guess that's why I am the golfer I am, I'm inconsistent. The days that I putt well, I don't drive the ball well. The days that I drive the ball well, I don't hit irons well. And I think if I can get a couple of these things to come together every once in a while, I can put up better scores. And then the final piece of this is the mental game. And here I gave myself a C. And this is all relative, right? A year ago, had I shot the scores I shot over the month of March, I would have given myself A's and B's on all these things. But expectations change. And as my expectations grow, I certainly want to go out and perform better and score better. So with where I am right now and what I think my abilities can be, I'm certainly not performing at a place where I would say I am maxing out everything I have to offer. But on the mental game front, I gave myself a C there. And I do think this has improved. I don't let bad holes ruin my day anymore on the golf course. I don't get too excited when things go well. I'm trying to stay more level. And especially when I do hit a bad shot, like I said, I believe that one of the reasons why I had a better month of March is that I don't give up on the hole. I accept the fact that I just hit a bad golf shot and say, all right, what do we need to do on this next one to save bogey? Let's not let this hole get away from us and make double or triple. And that's not to say that I don't still make some doubles and triples, but that's the mindset. Let's save bogey, get through this hole, then go out there and make some par. So I do think I'm getting better at not allowing one bad shot or one bad hole to ruin a round of golf. Now, that being said, I might go out this weekend, blow up, and have that all go away. But again, this is a scorecard for those 8 rounds over the month of March. We'll worry about April next weekend. So I'm playing better golf. Best golf of the year so far. Did shoot an 84 in the month of March, within 5 strokes of that ultimate goal of breaking 80. But for the most part, I didn't really feel like I was that close. My professional life has been really hectic. Have not had a lesson in 2 weeks now. Not sure if I'm going to get one in this week. Just have a lot going on. And as I mentioned before, the stress of work, I think, is helping with the mental game a little bit on the golf game. I just appreciate it more. I'm so happy to be out on the golf course on a Saturday or Sunday playing golf. And I don't think I talked about that with the Shot Scope, but another one of the reasons why I like that device or others like it is because I don't want to use my phone while I'm on the golf course. And I do use my phone while I'm on the golf course because I key my scores into the GIN app. But pick the phone up for a second, key the score in, put it back down, and I don't have my phone propped up on the golf cart where I can see it at all times. Because there's plenty of times where I'm out there playing golf where I hear it binging and dinging, and I know texts and team messages and things are coming through. And if I'm on the golf course, I completely ignore it. I am not looking at my phone when it bings. So the less I have my phone in hand, the better. And just another plus, right? If I was using a smartwatch to key in my golf scores, one, it would be too small, wouldn't be able to see without my glasses. And two, very likely it would be hooked up to my phone via Bluetooth. And anytime a message or something came through, I'd see it on my watch. And I just don't want that. I want the golf course to be an escape from work, from life. And for 4 hours, I just want to be away from my phone. And maybe this weekend I will try the scorekeeping on the Shot Scope, and that will just allow me to really go the whole round without picking up and looking at my phone. So that's it. Kind of a short one this week. Again, just have had a lot going on. It's been hard to do a whole lot other than work and play golf on the weekends. It's cut into my YouTube golf time, cut into my reading articles to share, but wanted to give everybody a quick update, let you know how the month of March went, and I'm looking forward to April. I feel like the golf game has gotten a little better. Hopefully I can keep that momentum going in April and still have plenty of time. 3 months into the year means I've got 9 left to find my way to breaking 80. As always, I'd love to hear from you. Don't be a stranger. Send me an email at breaking80over50@gmail.com. And I'll talk to everybody next week. Thank you. If you made it this far, thank you. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you hung in there for the whole show. If you enjoyed it, please rate, review, and subscribe. And maybe even share it with a friend who is out there on their own golf journey. If you listen on Spotify, leave a comment or a question, or send me an email at breaking80over50@gmail.com. I promise I'll read every one. All music was provided by Epidemic Sound. I'll leave links to any of the content that I mentioned in the show notes. Keep swinging, keep smiling, and remember, it's a game. Get out there and have fun. Thanks, everybody.